What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Leather Seat Pros and Touch-Ups Automotive leather installation video. Today we're working on a 26 F150. This also fits all the 21 and up F150s and 23 and up F250s. So today we're installing this kit. Now this is a Katzkin Tech Stitch Valley design with the lunar gray accents to match the gray that's in the F150 interiors. This is the one we're doing today, but I want to show you some other popular ones. This is the Lariat design, just your solid black with gray stitching. And this is the Lariat design with the solid black, gray stitching. This is the Platinum design, black with gray stitching. And then this is the Platinum two-tone black and gray design. Alright, let's get started. Alright guys, these are the tools and the sizes you're going to need for this project from start to finish. Make sure that you have a small, very small flathead. We're going to use these for some of the trim pieces to not gouge them up. And the 10mm has to be a Deepwell, 13 has to not be a Deepwell, 15 doesn't matter, but the 18 does need to be a Deepwell. Then you got your T20, T30, and your Phillips. Alright, so now we're going to start removing the seats. So you want to scoot the seat back all the way, whether it's manual or auto, and then come down to these covers in the front and kind of push back where you can open up the gap here, and you want to stick it on this far side, stick it in there and just pry it up to get it past this tab right here. That'll expose the bolt in there. It's a 13. All right, now for the second one, same way, just like that. Now we're gonna unbolt it. Now I'll move the seat all the way left, and also move it all the way up, front and back, if it is an auto, like this, as far up as it'll go. All right, for these backs, we're gonna do them on the bottom side instead. And you just wanna be careful. Kind of try and push it so you can create a gap and then stick it in there. And you're trying to hit this little tab right here. Just like that. This one on the right side usually will pop up. The left one won't. I don't know why. Now move it back, and I usually just line it up where the plastic is lined up with the back of the back foot, and so you can see it's kind of lined up there. And then the lean back, it makes it easier. You can stick your hand in here and move the back and forth until you find where it feels the loosest. And that makes it easier to get this butt out and also get the cover in there when we get the leather on. All right, from here, you just want to lean it back and we're gonna unplug it. And you can see right here, so there's a Christmas tree holding the harness in here. You can usually just pull these down by hand. It's gonna take some force. And then once you got that, you got this big plug. Now this plug you can get with just one hand. All right, so you can get these one-handed. There's a tab right here, and you push this in with your thumb, and then you pull back on this lever all the way till it clicks, and then you just pull that out like that. All right, now it's ready to come out. Now you just want to make sure you're not hitting the, just want to check these back feet, make sure you're not hitting the car, and that's it. All right, first thing you want to do is pop this headrest off. It's got two push tabs right here and there. And then you're gonna want to grab your T20, and there's two screws holding the plastic in here, one on the inside. And then one in the back. All right, then from here, you want to come over to this back side of the plastic. All right, once you got the second screw out, you're gonna want to come back here to the back of the plastic and lift up. And you're trying to pop this top portion off of a metal hook that's on the inside, and I'll show you that here in a second. Once you have that, you want to slide the whole plastic panel forward, and then it should just pop right off. As you can see, you got this metal hook on this plastic, and then you have this on this metal, that on this metal hook. I can't see the hook. All right, then you have a wire harness right here. You want to push this tab in and just pull it out. All right, from here, what you want to do is flip the seat upside down. Because there's a lot of stuff underneath we need to get. All right, first is these harness, the plugs. All right, you want to get this plug, just pull that pin and slide it right out, and then it's held on here by a Christmas tree. The whole thing needs to be popped off. Got that, and it's got another tree over here, and then this yellow one. It's got a tab. Red tab needs popped back, and then push on the inside and pull it out. And then same with its trees. Two of them, and then also this seat heater, if it has them. It's let's get this tree out, and then you can almost see it right there. Pull the pin on it, pull it out, and then get these elastic straps off. And then we're gonna get these J clips from the bottom cover out. And it makes it easier if you try and get up under it with this tool and pry it out and around. Just like that. And then while you're back here, you can go ahead and get this clip. Just want to pull it out like that. And then these zippers. Then you're gonna have some clips holding this back in. Really easy. Alright, this can be a little tricky. It doesn't want to come out very easily sometimes, but you can get this tool we use for the interior and kind of stick it on the bottom side underneath the plastic and then pry it out. And you can get in there and grab the bottom of it and pop it out like that. Alright, now let's get the rest of the bottom cover clips. Got one here. And then these ones, a lot of times you can just get those by hand. Same with this. And then this other side. And this one is already off. Alright, once we are at this stage, we're going to flip it back over carefully. And at this point you can pull this butt, just the entire butt off. Just kind of pull it slow so you're not catching the wire or the clips or anything on it. Now from here we're going to need our 10mm Deepwell. And we're going to get these airbag nuts. Alright, now let's go ahead and unwrap the cover around the seat. I'm going to pull these plugs out, these wires and plugs. Now, this big one, sometimes I have to go through the other side, so here, come around to this side. So I'll put it through the seat like this to the front. I'll bring the cover with it. I can bring it out from here, and then I'll just pull it back through. From here, start from the bottom, and just peel it back. And there you go. Now, with these headrest bevels, you want to try and pull the cover back to you, and then find the hole and get it around a corner, and get it around another corner, and just pop off like that. There we go, just like that. Now we're gonna get this airbag. So we've got the nuts out, so pull it out. Now this airbag plug has two white pins on each side, or one on each side, and you just want to pull them both down and it'll pop right out. So you can see there's one, there's the other, and they're spring loaded. Once you got that, you just take this airbag out of its sleeve, and now we can start taking the cover off. But I want to show you something on this, using this butt cover as an example. So we're gonna peel it off just like so, and it's got a strap on the bottom. And then get this wire out. So from here, you got a series of Velcro and rails and clips. These rails can be a little tricky when you haven't done this a million times. So I want to show you, the normal method is to push one side and then roll it out from the bottom. But I wanted to tell you too, if you want an easier method, and maybe this is rough on your fingers to do this, you can take a razor blade and just cut through this gray fabric and just cut the rail directly off. And you can come through and do that to all of the rails. There's various rails in here. Anyway, you can do that to all the rails and take the cover off, and then just take these rails and slide the rail all the way out from the clips on all of them. Now I just want to tell you, some people we've seen before have done it this way, where they'll just go and start from here, and they'll take a blade and cut through it like this and cut it off. And we don't recommend that. You can cut through the foam pretty easily, and then also, especially if you have seat heaters, it's just kind of reckless. You don't really want to do it that way. So if you are going to cut the rails off, try and do it precise. Just cut this fabric, just cut the rail right off. But anyway, if you do want to save them, we always save them. You just peel this Velcro off. One other tip here, sometimes you'll take these covers off and these are already ripped off. Sometimes, you rip them off yourself, and if they are ripped off, what we do is we just use some super glue. We'll just use this cheap stuff from Harbor Freight and use this glue to glue them back on, and it works really well. It's super strong, holds up. So if something does happen, just get you some super glue it back on. All right, so for the rest of this, it's the same thing. Just want to show you again. You kind of want to try and push this till you can hear it or feel this edge pop out of it, and then roll it. And then roll it out from the bottom. Alright, so now we're going to kind of repeat that process on the back. So it's got a series as well. And the Velcro in the middle. There it is, ready for the weather. All right, now for the headrest, these have a J-clip on the bottom. You can just pop it out, and like I've said before, you can cut this one off. It's not as crucial if you accidentally cut the foam a little bit, but if you are going to save it, you just kind of want to roll one side over, then roll the other side over, and just kind of peel it off like that. All right, so now we're going to start putting the leather on. Now I wanted to mention on this kit, this is the Tech Stitch kit. It's only gonna use one out of the 3 rails from front to back. If you're using a more common kit, you are going to use all 3 rails like normal. So you'll have both Velcros and your plastic rail. But let's go ahead with this one. Also, it doesn't matter when you're at this point, it doesn't matter which cover you cover, which piece you cover first, whether it's the butt or the back. In this case, we're going to do the butt. So first thing you want to do is turn inside out. Just basically completely. And then once you're at this point, you want to come up here, and for the install, putting the cover on, you want to center up everything. The front, the sides. So I'm kind of feeling on the inside with my finger the distances on each side to make sure it's centered up. And once I think it's centered, I'm going to push down and kind of watch and look and make sure you're connecting these to each other. So once I've just pressed them and connected them like that, what we're going to do is come on the front or the top and work it in with this hand. And just kind of where they are, where they're located in the 3 spots, you want to work it side to side so you can make sure you get a good connection. All right, now from here, we're gonna start on the sides. And on these sides, you want to make sure it's also this seam is going into the groove in the foam. And then I'm going to go ahead on these rails. This is kind of like a long triangle, and you want to get this groove, this sharp groove, into this little gap where the clip is. Just aim it in there and push it down. You'll hear the click, feel it. And then sometimes on these clips, there's 2 sides, and there's another edge like this on the other side of this rail. Sometimes it doesn't get on the other side, doesn't click in there, so you may want to push it down and make sure. We're just going to get all 3 of these on this side, and then make sure that's where that goes, and then get these ones as well. Alright, now it's got 2 more Velcro pieces in the front. Now you want to make sure that everything is where it goes. So push that Velcro down in there, and you kind of want to put pressure, pull pressure to the front as you're laying it down. So you kind of want to pull it this way and then work it in too. And then from this point, I'm going to wrap it over, because a lot of times when you wrap this side over, it will pull out this Velcro anyway. So once we have that wrapped over on the other side, we're going to come repeat the process on this side. And then wrap it over like so. And now we have 2 more Velcro pieces on the back, and just gonna make sure they're in their groove on the Velcro and work them into from here. I usually go a little past where it recommends, or where they are, so it's a little bit tighter. And there you are. There's the butt, and it's ready to go on. We're going to go ahead and do the back. Alright, now we're going to work on the back. So once you have your cover, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to turn it inside out. So we're going to unzip it. inside out, kind of fold these wings in here so that just kind of this body is just exposed. And again, on this one, it's the tech stitch, so we're only using one of the two. There's usually another one here, and we're not using that. So on this one, we're gonna start with this rail. Same thing on the back. These need to go first, top to bottom, then side to side. So we're gonna clip this in here. And then usually what I'll do is I'll get one, come over here, and you can slide it to get it centered up. You probably get all three of them on this. But anyway, you could slide it, get it where it's centered up, and then clip in the other two. Then from here, just take the back flap, drape it over, and we're gonna do the sides. And for the sides, kind of the same thing as the butt. We're gonna make sure everything's where it goes, and that seam is lined up with the groove. And then push the rail in, and push the clip in. Go all the way down, 4 of them. Make sure it's in the right spot. Now, once you're at this point where you've got the face all clipped on, we're gonna put the airbag in back in its sleeve and bolt it down. So you grab the airbag and make sure it's the right, make sure it's not upside down. So you got your clip plug here on the bottom. You're gonna line up with this plug. So we're gonna go in like this. Just wanna slide it in the sleeve. And then you've got your holes here to tell you where it needs to go. So those are there. Then you're going to take the plug, make sure it's lined up, and then plug it in like that. You just push it and it'll snap in there. Now get the holes lined up, shove it in there. And then just put the nuts back on. Start them by hand. And don't forget to tighten these down. It's good to, as soon as you get this far, just go ahead and tighten them down so that you don't forget. From here, throw this over and start wrapping it around. Just start from one side, one corner, and kind of pull it so it's tight. And I usually try and pull this, kind of wrap it around cleanly, and don't put too much pressure against this zipper. And that's really gonna kind of matter over here. This is kind of the difficult side. Once you're at this point, what I'll usually do is I'll grab this and pull a little bit and then wrap it. And as I'm wrapping, I'm pulling pressure, I'm putting pressure here so I can take the pressure off of the zipper. Because you do not want to rip, if you rip these zippers, it's over. You have to have it re-sewn or get a new one. So once you're at this point, you just wrap around the sides. And then you can look and see, you look up here, and if it's too much on one side, you know, you can kind of pull the top of it until it's all nice and straight. And kind of ready for the sides to be worked. And once we're at this point, we use the steam. We have a steamer, and we use the steam. You don't need to use steam. You can set it out in the sun. You can turn on a heater, or even put them back in the car and then turn the heater on in the car. But don't use a hair dryer or a heat gun, because you'll burn the leather, the vinyl. So anyway. All right, from this point, we're going to reconnect this J-clip onto the frame. So there it is. I'm just gonna fold it around. And then I'm gonna get these two, one on each side, J-clips. He's gonna go around the yellow bar in there. And we're gonna start zipping it. And on these zippers, you want to pull these together. So you want to pull this side over to this side, or pull them together and then zip them. Don't use a tool to zip this down. Really, rule of thumb, you want to be able to zip this with your fingers, or don't zip it, because if you use a tool and you're pulling, it's a quick way to ruin them. So some of these are, you know, going to be tighter, and you want to pull them together. Now we can go ahead and get these sides. So just take these flaps, and you want to put them around this metal, and kind of give it a little pull. This one, just put it around the plastic. And, you know, just give it a little pull. Now we're gonna get these front Velcro pieces. Now something I usually do, at this point is I'll kind of work these wings down. And you can use this front and then pull them. And something else that will help is if you kind of pull, you put some pressure on it, and then you kind of slap it. Same with this side. And kind of give it a pull. All right, this one doesn't need very much. Okay, now we're gonna get these two Velcro pieces in the middle. So I'm gonna lay it down. And I usually just feel underneath. Feel the Velcro, the soft part and the rough part. And then I'm pushing it down, put some pressure on it, and then apply it and work it in there. Same with this side. And you want to feel with your hand, make sure that it's actually in there. It can be deceiving sometimes. Now we're ready to clip the bottom of it. So we're just going to put it up. It makes this easy if you flip it upside down again. And I'm going to put these wires back through. This big one can kind of be annoying sometimes. I put it through underneath and then just pull it back over. All right, once you're here, just pull this back as much as possible. All right, once you're here, got these flaps where they go. You pull this back and try and pull this up at the same time. And you know, there's not much, you can't see, there's not much space there, but you're trying to aim this into the J-clip. So just get it into that little crevice and then slide it in. And then make sure it's as far as it can go. Now we're ready to put the butt back on, so flip it back over. Okay, now if you have one with a seat heater or any cables, make sure you put the cable through there first, otherwise it'll just get bunched up. And then put the J-clips through here, make your life easier. And then you have the foam. So you got to get that foam where it goes. So what you're trying to do is get this foam over this big bar. Now there's a few ways to do it. The easiest way is with one hand on top. So you put it underneath the butt, and you can feel this, and I just go from one side and push it under while I'm pulling with my other hand. And sometimes, you know, you get this side as good as you can, you put it down, and then I'll switch and come back and finish it opposite handed. And here, come to the back. From this side, this is what I'm doing over here. You know, as I'm pushing it through, I'm kind of catching it with my finger and making sure it's where it goes. From here, pull on the back flap, and then you can double check if you want. Just look at the left and right side. Looks like we're good. Come to the front here, and sometimes it helps when I make sure kind of flap it. Now from here we gotta get the sides and the front all wrapped around. So I'll usually just start at a corner and go across the front, and make sure that the cover is not getting, you know, folded underneath like so. So make sure it's not getting sandwiched in between the foam and the frame. And then this. Okay, so it's around the frame where it needs to go. And we're gonna do this front piece first. This is a rubber J-clip, and we're gonna be putting it around this metal frame right here. And you just gotta, this takes a lot of tugging sometimes, but you're trying to pull this and wrap it around and get it on top of the rail like that. But it's kind of far back there sometimes. So you wrap it around. Here, I can fill this up. So you're wrapping it around and trying to get this rail into there. So we're gonna wrap it around. It'll take some working sometimes, and you really want to make sure it's on there. And then we are going to steam it just a little on the sides. Alright, now these, on the front, on the sides, both have rubber J-clips as well. Alright, this is something else, a little tip here. On these ones that are automatic and the front of the butt can move up and down, they have a, here, come to this side. They have this little space in between here that, right there, yeah, that it needs to go. And you're gonna have to put this flap of the J-clip into there as you wrap it around. It can be kind of tricky. So I wrap it around, and gosh, it's hard to see. Can you see from like this angle? Yeah, there we go. So wrap it around and then get that in between, and then sandwich it or smash it onto that rail, that metal rail. And the same over here. So you have this, and you can put it in between and then push it down and start with the bottom. And then work your way up. And then, yeah, make sure it's all the way on there. These bottom ones are usually fairly easy. This one you have this motor in the way, so you just have to pull it up, get it on there, and then slide it down. And there you go. Now we gotta get the back J-clips. So these bottom ones gotta go next. Make sure that the wire is in between them. It's gonna go on top here. Same with this one. All right. Now once you're here, we're gonna go ahead and put, here, don't forget to put this elastic strap. We're gonna put the plastic on, ready for it. So, this can be a little tricky, but it's gonna go in the same order as we did removing it. So we're gonna plug this in. And what we're aiming for is these and this first. So you're gonna try and line, what I usually do is, more than anything, line this up with the metal post there. And I can kind of see it from this this angle. Yeah, let me see. All right. Right there. Yep, you can see it right there. So, okay, there it is. It's on there. So once you got that on there, also, once that's on there, come over here, show the side, get this flap out and over this just for now. And then come to the front. The front, you're gonna move these, you're gonna move the whole plastic piece up and over. You move this up and over that, and make sure the bottom one's over too. So you got both of them are on top where they need to go. And okay. So now we have the front half where it goes. We're gonna get this back. So you have to go on top of these. So you're trying to get on top of these, and then this metal pin post right there. So you're gonna lift it up, just put pressure on it up, and then try and push it in. So up and in, and there we go. So now it's over these, and it's over this side, the back top one, and then this flap, just push it in there to where it's hidden, and there you have it. Now it's ready for the screws. So I have the T20. Put these screws in the front one. We're gonna flip this upside down anyway for the next step, but you can see this a whole lot easier. All right, now we have all of our wiring. So it doesn't necessarily matter what order you do it in. I'm gonna go with the seat heater first. So you're gonna plug this in, and then it's got its tree, and then one thing that does matter as far as the order goes. So each of these side wire harnesses have 2 Christmas trees. So the one that the plug has, leave it out. So go ahead and clip this one in, and then connect this plug, and don't forget the safety pin, and leave it out. And then we take the back flap, and we put the plastic where it goes, fold it over again, and then these elastic straps go over these plastic, over this plastic part. Then we put the last Christmas tree in for the plugs. Now from here, you want to put the flaps, plastic flaps on the side, inside the leather. And then put the zippers in between, tucked away. And it's in between the plastic and the leather. All right, now basically done, but we got one more thing. So last thing we do is cut these headrests bevels out. And they can be a little tricky. And you do want to be careful because you can mess up the whole cover at the very end. But what we do is we feel around for the bevel and then feel around for the hole that the post goes into, and right above, like right where the hole is, we're gonna do a square. So right above where the hole is, and then on the sides, and you can do this without cutting the plastic. So once you've done that, you're gonna cut the foam and kind of pull it out as you're going along. It's gonna give you more to grab onto. You know, once you have it here, you can kind of just cut away that foam. And then I make 4 cuts along the sides here, just to give you room to fold it over. So it's gonna end up looking like this. And we just go 1 corner, and the back corner, 3rd corner, and then just like that. Now we're gonna do it to the other side. So feel for that hole. We're gonna go right along the hole, but a square. Because these are square bevels. You know, on the circular ones, we'll cut circles. I try and pull that foam a little bit away and cut it. And then make my 4 cuts to give it some room. And there you go. And we're about to do the headrest next, but as far as this seat goes, it's complete. Alright, last but not least, the headrest. So once you get these covers, they're usually already clipped. Just unclip it. We're gonna go ahead and steam it. Alright, so these headrests, you want to start on one side and use that sandwiching it down to pull the other side over. Just like that. Just kind of pull it side by side. And over here, you know, I'm just making sure the corners and the edges are lined up. Once you got it on, you do the Velcro again. You know, I'm looking at these, making sure that they're kind of lined up and they're straight, parallel with each other, and then I use that to determine where to Velcro it. Pull this out, and then we're just gonna J-clip it the same way it came out. Make sure it's in there all the way, and from here, you know, I make sure that the body lines are, everything's lined up, the seams are where they go. And then the bottom, I make sure like one side isn't hanging off more than the other. And it looks good. So, stick it on. And be careful when you're doing this not to gouge the leather with the post. There it is. Complete. All right, now we're gonna start on the back seats. So first thing you wanna do is flip it up, and we're gonna get this seat belt bolt. It's a 13. All right, on these front 4 bolts, the nut underneath that the bolt is going into is welded to the body. And when you use a Deepwell, sometimes what can happen is the top of it can get caught on this flange and put everything in a bind, and then force the bolt down and force the nut and break the welds on the nut. And you know, we've had this happen before. It's survivable. You can recover from it, but you don't want to have to deal with that. So to avoid it, just use a not Deepwell socket. So we're gonna get these front 4 out. All right, now we're gonna put the backs, fold the backs all the way down. So you pull this one strap for the butt, and then you're gonna pull this other strap for the back, and then the other side is not so easy, but we're gonna show you how to do it. So we're gonna put both of these down, we're gonna fold these both down, but to get the back, you need this butt still up so that you have more room in here. See, if you pull this down, it takes away from the space back here. So you put it back up, and you're gonna wanna try and reach here with your palm facing the outside, and you're gonna try and reach in here and find this metal tab and pull it up, kind of out and up. And I'll show you what that looks like. It's this little tab right here, and you kind of wanna get behind it and pull it. And that will release the big 60%. All right, so now we're gonna get this jack out so we can access the nuts underneath it. This jack has a big, kind of a plastic wing nut holding it in. You can do this by hand, obviously, but if you're using a 1/2 inch impact or drill of some kind, you can stick it in here and catch the flat parts on those wing nuts, or the wings, and just pull them out like this. So from here, you can just pull that right out, and then set it aside. And then we have this is where your 15 and 18 come in. Also, you're gonna have some plugs. So you got 2 plugs. This back plug has a red tab. You pull it out and then push on the inside. Sometimes this one requires more force, and then this one does not have a red safety tab. There it is. So you push the pin on the front, pull it out, and then you're gonna want to take this off. Metal keeper. So now, holding them together is a 15. And then the rest of these back here are 18s. So I'm gonna start. next one. All right, and then this seat belt has a plug with a red safety pin. I'm gonna pull that back, push down the tab. There you go. So now that they're completely unbolted, we want to get this seat belt out, and it helps to go underneath it with your other hand and just kind of guide it through like that. And then there they are, they're all ready to be removed. All right, we got the seats unbolted, so now we're gonna remove them. We're gonna do the small one first because it's sitting on top of the other one. It's part of its frame is. But I wanted to mention that these plugs and wires are sometimes intertwined with each other. Some models they're not, some they are. So this wire will be going through another. This is the big seats wire, and this might be going through some of the smaller seats wires. So when you go to take it out, you're gonna get hung. So just make sure that it's kind of out in a way, and then you want to just lift up and go forward with it to avoid the power inverter cover, and just come right out. All right, so now we're going to get the bigger one out. Now this may require more than one person, but if you are working by yourself, I'm going to show you, how I usually do it. I'll take it off of the posts and kind of set it there, and then you kind of grab the headrest post here for leverage and just come on back with it. Make sure, watch the foot, make sure you're not gouging up the truck.
All right, now we're gonna do a back seat. This is the 60% side. These headrests kind of pull out like the front. You push these tabs in on both sides, pull them out. This is where you'll need Phillips. This one side is a Phillips. It's in there. Got one little screw, we'll just set it there. And then let's go ahead and take it off. There's a tab right there that can easily break if you're not careful. So we use this tool, just kind of twist it out. So I'm just putting it in there and twisting it out. And then this will just kind of pull out. And the other side is a T30. It'll be two of those. And then this one just kind of pulls out. And then it doesn't matter what order you do this in, but you do need to pry these apart. Once you get it started, you just kind of go. But we do need to separate the seats. So on these back seats, you're gonna separate them. This is where your 13 comes in. And they're gonna have this little plastic washer. Just kind of watch that when you're putting them back in, but I'll show you that later. And then that just comes apart. And then it zips kind of like the front.
Yo.
All right, this one we're gonna flip over. And these have these same type of J clips. You gotta get this up under there. Just kind of twist it apart. zippers. And you just kind of work this whole thing off of here. And then set the frame aside. And just remember, hold the Velcro, kind of push it down. So you don't. There's some on the front, and hold it down while you're taking it off. These corners. And then this has rails similar to the front. You can twist them out. You can pull them out too. Once you get to the end, just pull them out. Like same thing here, you can kind of pull that one out if you want. So we're just hold and twist. Kind of same thing as you go along. Just make sure you'll hold and twist or you'll break them. Grab the other one. Now, if you're going to save these, be a little careful pulling these corners around. So you don't break the zippers. With these clips, you can just pull off. And then on these headrest bezels, you just want to pull to you, kind of like the fronts. Pull the material to you, and then get a corner going, and then just kind of work them off. And then same type of clips. Now we're ready to cover them. All right, here's our new cover. unzip it. Just always be careful with the zippers. Gonna turn everything inside out. And on this piece, we have to hit these middles first, or we won't be able to get to them. So get this lined up. Since it's a tech stitch kit, we don't have this rail. Normally you'd have a rail right there also, but got this lined up with a channel, and just push those in, same as the front seat. And just make sure those are lined up. Right, now we get this top one, and we just want to make sure we're in these grooves good and straight. Now, if you ever have one of these that are giving you problems, you can hold from behind. Sometimes they need a little support. But so far, these are cooperating. Now you just want to make sure you're lined up. And this one is a little tricky. You just have to bend it around and get it in there. It's kind of being held up by that one, but and then make sure it's pulled over enough to catch. And then just kind of watch, make sure that's where it goes. And then one more row back here. And sometimes you'll have Velcro here, sometimes not. Katzkin has it here, but some year models have it, some don't. So and then we're going to go over the corners here, and you want to kind of push here and push here, kind of push all this in and get it over. That gives that, you can press that foam a little bit to get that over. You just want to be real careful in the zippers. This part pretty much pulls over easily. But same thing on this corner. We're going to push in here, kind of pull here, so there's least amount of pressure on those zippers as possible. And then bring that all around. Now I'm just kind of feeling where these points are and just kind of making sure they're getting pulled past that foam to give that foam a chance to form those corners. And you're going to give it a little steam. Like to hit these where there's a lot of stitching. Okay. These are always a little long. I'll give them a few twists. Just make this a little tighter. Some of that'll come undone, but it just makes it a little bit tighter. Now on the zipping, make sure there's no pressure on these zippers. So I'm holding this material together. Same thing over here. All right, now we're gonna get this side. And then tuck these in out of the way. Now these channels, you got these channels kind of like the front seats. This has to go in that little gap right there. And it can be tricky, but just work it in there. Now we're gonna make sure it's in there. Just kind of make sure it's nice and seated. And that's pretty much that piece. We could go ahead and make a couple cuts in this one. Now right here is where it hooks to the bottom, and you're not gonna see it in the picture very well, but there's a bolt hole right there. You can feel it with your finger. You're just gonna cut around it. Just cut a little circle for that bolt. Same thing over here. I don't know if you can see in the picture, but that's kind of the frame. And then right there is that other hole. And cut a circle for it. That's good enough if you want to get this little piece, but. And then we could go ahead and cut for these headrests while we're at it. And it's just like the front. You can feel where the headrest post goes. Just cut a circle, walk it over like that. If you want to cut a square, you can cut a square. It's not real critical. So there's our back of the back. Go to the butt. All right, now we got the back bottom. Turn it in, out, inside out like normal. Now on these, they have to start on the sides because this rail is hard to get to. But remember, the tech stitch doesn't have it. But we want these lined up. All right, these bottoms do have Velcro in, you know, we're lined up good, everything looks good. So we're gonna Velcro these in. You wanna kinda wiggle it around, get it to seat in there really good. Get this side. And then this middle rail, you just kind of got to work it in there. Velcro over here. And then this middle part has a Velcro tab also. Just trying to push it down as straight down as you can to make this little cup here. And then the seat belt will come through there. And we got this Velcro, just make sure it's actually in its groove. Kind of pull on it and get it in there and get it to seat just like the others. Same thing on this corner. And then there's some in the middle. And I'm gonna pull this forward while I'm putting this Velcro where it goes. All right, then we'll stick it on its frame. Just kind of push, make sure these go where they go. Sometimes they want to hang on these brackets. And then the bottom is the same way. Make sure these collapse onto their framework. And then when I pull these over, I kind of push this in and push down at the same time. That way it gives it a chance to kind of fill that void rather than just lapping it over. Kind of push in the foam and pull down on the cover. Now we're going to give a little steam. And then before you flip it over, make sure these are over. And these aren't always cut. Some kits, Katzkin cuts them, sometimes they don't. If they're not, when you pull this over and it's where it goes, you got these seated good. It's gonna cut right above that anchor. See how they have cut right above it, right there, and that's usually works out good. But sometimes they pre-cut them and sometimes they don't. All right, now we're gonna flip it over. And start zipping it. You know, kind of push these down. Don't forget to stick your strap through here. And same thing, you know, be gentle with the zippers. Make sure the fabric's pulled together. Now these things are similar to the other clips. They just lock together like that. And not all the Katzkin kit F150 kits are made the same way on this part. If you got one of the other kits, you may need something like this. It'll be a little bit different system, really similar, to hold them down to get them to click. In this case, this kit's using this kind. So you just pull that down and it's going to click pretty easily once you get it past. There's that one. And then this last one. And then tuck these zippers. You want to try to get it over that and kind of fold it under just to make sure it stays, it looks neater. And this is another thing with Katzkin. Some of Katzkin's kits, they will always have this plastic bezel, but they always won't be cut here. So just remember to, if this isn't pre-cut, you just cut right through there. This plastic bezel is, pre-cut in the middle, but they don't always cut the felt, so you might have to cut that. If you don't, you won't be able to get the seat belt through there, and just make sure that's done. And then we'll tuck these flaps in. And then there's the bottom. Now here's the marry them back together. And these are these little plastic washers I was talking about. To kind of get it to hit that shoulder. And then just move this around so you can see the hole. Same thing on the other side. And then if you notice, these bolts have a shoulder on them. So while you're putting this back together, just make sure you go past that shoulder, and you can tell when you're there. That way that's not flopping around on you. And then Put these plastics back on. Now this thing can break really easily if you're not careful. So when you're putting this back on, this has to go around a bracket up here. I think it's the other end of this bolt actually. So just kind of spread them apart, and you can feel it go around that bolt as you're putting it on. And when it does, you'll pretty much be lined up already. Just line it up. All right, now we need the Phillips. It goes in this bottom one, and you just gotta look in there, make sure it's lined up, and just kind of put the screw in there. And then the other side takes the T30s. Now we're gonna hit that bracket. So I'm gonna turn this around. On this side, if you're not careful, you'll hit this bracket. So you may need that hanging off the table. This has the same type of system. It's gonna go over that. Gonna go around that bolt. And then see if we're lined up. These are the T30s. And that's pretty much the back seat. The 40%, you know, just like that. We did the bigger one. Bigger one's a little bit harder, so we did it. And still got the headrest. And these have similar clips to everything else, just J clips you pop out. Just slip them off. And then just like the fronts, just gonna squish them down really good. Get them started. And the straighter you get them started, the better it is for you once they're on there. So try to get them started straight. Makes your life easier in the end. And then just kind of massage them around where they look good and straight and lined up with the foam structure. And then the clips are similar to the rest of the seats. Just clip them in there. Make sure they caught. And then once it's on, you can mess with these corners and stuff. Same thing with the little one. Be careful, don't pull on these tabs and stuff. You'll rip them. Just try to grab the bulk of the headrest material. And then we stick them in here. You have to hold those tabs in. And there's the back seat.